Okay, this is the next step for making sourdough bread. That is a Dutch oven that I just took out of the preheated oven at 500 degrees. So I just put the Dutch oven in there and I let it sit in the oven while it preheats up to 500 degrees. And then I take it out when I'm ready to start putting the dough in the Dutch oven. So that's a Dutch oven. This is our proofed sourdough bread, or sourdough. So as you can see, it's pretty poofy. It's way poofier than when we initially put it in there, and it's very airy. One way to tell if it's done is by just kind of pushing on it with your finger and then letting it rebound. And if it rebounds about halfway but not fully, then it's ready to go. If it rebounds all the way, then it needs some more time. And generally I can just tell by the way it looks. It just looks real airy, and it looks like it's ready to bake. So it's proofed, it's risen a lot, it's ready. So that's ready to go. So you need your Dutch oven preheated, you need your proofed bread, and you'll need a piece of parchment paper here. You're gonna take your Dutch oven and you're gonna get it ready because it's hot. So you're gonna need to handle it with care. And then I use what they call a trivet. I think it's a trivet. And it's just like a insert that you have to buy separately that goes in the Dutch oven. And this just allows for some airflow underneath the bread when it's baking. Otherwise, if you don't use this, sometimes the bread will burn on the bottom because it's just contacting this really hot cast iron surface and it just burns. So this is probably, I would say, a necessary thing. So you're gonna get one of these, and then you're gonna probably need to get just a regular Dutch oven. This is a Lodge Dutch oven. It's like $50 on Amazon, $40 to $50. I think it's an 8-inch. I don't know, I can't remember the size, but it's a pretty standard size. So this is I believe an 8-inch trivet. Yeah, either way, but it's just a standard size. You can get different sizes based on how big your loaves of bread want to be. But this is the size that I use. So you take this, and then I invert it. So I use the top as the bottom and the bottom as the top. So I put the trivet in the bottom, and then then it's just easier to get the dough in and out of it. If you do it with this, you have to put it in very carefully and pull it out very carefully. Sometimes the parchment rips and tears. So it's just easier, in my opinion, to invert it, flip it, and then use it this way as opposed to the bottom being the actual bottom where you put the dough. So I'm gonna take the dough, and what I do is I just put the parchment all over the top of the dough like that, and then I take my other hand and just support the dough, and then I flip it. So I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna flip it, let it rest on the counter. I'm gonna pull it out, and this is why it's important to flour the dough, because the dough is gonna wanna stick to the towel when I take it off. But be gentle, just take it off nice and easy and slow, and that way you won't disturb the dough too much. If you didn't have the flour, it would just stick like crazy, and it would just, you wouldn't be able to get it off really. So that's that. You're gonna take this, now just use the parchment as a grabbing tool, put it on the Dutch oven. And carefully, when it's all, the cast iron's hot, and you're gonna take the Dutch oven lid, flip it over top of the bottom. Make sure there's a nice tight seal there. You want it to seal up because it needs to steam when it's baking. So I'm gonna take this, put it into the oven, and then I'll explain how long it's cooked for in the oven once I put it in there. Okay, so the oven is at 500 degrees. It's been at 500 degrees for a while because I had to preheat the oven to 500 degrees and then let the cast iron kind of sit in there for a little bit just to get to temp. So I usually let the cast iron or the Dutch oven sit for a while at 500 degrees so it really gets to temperature and hot. I let it kind of sit out a little bit, probably too long while talking about it. Usually I get it out real quick, put it in, put the dough in real fast so it doesn't lose temperature too much. And then so you're gonna bake it for 20 minutes at 500 degrees in the Dutch oven. And then after 20 minutes, you're gonna take it out and I'll show you what to do next. You're gonna bake it at a lower temperature of 450 degrees for about 15 to 20 minutes based on your preference to how dark you like the loaf of bread to be, how crunchy the crust you want it to be. So yeah, so that's the first step of baking, and then the next step is pretty much the last step. So that will conclude the sourdough bread making process.